The wine glass fractured against the floors of the ballroom, red wine splashing across white fabric like blood on snow. Chidera Okonkwo stood frozen, the liquid dripping down her face, her uniform, pooling at her feet. The entire ballroom of the Lotus Grand Hotel fell silent. 200 of Seoul's wealthiest elites turned to stare. Yoon Seoyeon stood before her, perfectly manicured hand still raised from throwing the drink, diamonds glittering at her throat. Her lips curved into a cruel smile. "Know your place, black girl. Don't ever speak to my fiancé again." The words hung in the air like poison. Cameras flashed. Someone gasped. She felt every eye on her, felt the weight of every humiliation she'd swallowed in 3 years of living in Seoul. Every racist comment whispered behind hands. Every time someone clutched their purse tighter when she walked past. Every job application rejected. Every landlord who suddenly had no vacancies. Her hand moved before her brain caught up. The slap echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot. Seoyeon's head snapped to the side, her perfectly styled hair flying. The room erupted in chaos. Cameras flashed rapidly now like lightning. Someone screamed. Security started moving. She leaned close, her voice deadly calm. "I know my place. And it's not beneath you. Not beneath anyone. Don't you ever disrespect me again." She turned and walked through the crowd, her head high despite the wine still dripping from her chin. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but she didn't look back. She pushed through the gilded doors and into the lobby, her hands shaking violently now that the adrenaline was fading. What had she done? What had she just done? Behind her, in the ballroom, Kong Jaewon stood perfectly still. He was tall, his long dark hair falling past his shoulders, a single tattoo visible at the collar of his tailored suit. His face showed nothing, but his eyes tracked Chidera's exit with something that might have been admiration. Or calculation. With Jaewon, it was always hard to tell. "Jaewon." Seoyeon clutched her face, tears of rage streaming down her cheeks. "Did you see what that woman did? Arrest her. Have her deported." But Jaewon wasn't looking at his fiancée. He was staring at the doors where the waitress had disappeared, a small smile playing at the corner of his mouth. No one had ever stood up to Yoon Seoyeon. No one dared. The Yoon family owned half the prosecutors in Seoul. Seoyeon herself was untouchable. Until tonight. "Jaewon." Seoyeon grabbed his arm. He finally looked at her, his expression cooling to ice. "You threw a drink in her face. What did you expect would happen?" "I expected her to apologize. To grovel. She's just a waitress, she's nobody." "Then why do you look so shaken?" Jaewon removed her hand from his arm, his touch gentle but firm. "Excuse me. I need some air." He walked away, leaving Seoyeon standing alone as cameras continued flashing, capturing her humiliation for tomorrow's headlines. She made it to the staff changing room before she started shaking properly. She stared at her reflection in the small mirror. Wine stained her white shirt. Her natural hair had come loose from its neat bun, and her dark brown eyes were wide with shock at what she'd just done. Her phone buzzed. A text from her manager. "Don't bother coming back. You're fired." Another buzz. Then another. Her phone lit up like a Christmas tree. She opened her social media and her breath caught. The video was already everywhere. Someone had posted it. The slap. Her words. Everything. The comments were flooding in. Who is she? That's the most badass thing I've ever seen. Korean Mafia boss's side chick slaps his fiancé OMG. Hashtag the Gala slap, this is iconic. Finally someone put that rich bitch in her place. But also she's done for RIP to her, she just signed her death warrant. She closed her eyes. Her phone rang. She answered without looking. "Ki." Her brother's weak voice came through, all the way from Enugu. "Chi, I saw the video. Everyone's sharing it. Are you okay?" "Chukwamika." Chi's voice cracked. "I'm fine. How are you feeling?" The hospital called. They said the new treatment is available, but they need 50 million won up front. "Chi, I know that's impossible, I told them. I'll get it." Chi's grip tightened on the phone. "I'll get the money. I promise." "Chi, you just lost your job. The video is everywhere." "How?" "I'll figure it out. You just focus on getting better, okay? I love you." She hung up before he could argue. Before he could hear her cry. 50 million won. About $40,000. She had maybe 2,000 saved. Her visa had expired 3 months ago. She'd been working illegally, too afraid to leave and lose her job, unable to afford a lawyer to fix her status. And now she'd just slapped one of the most powerful women in Seoul on camera. She was done. Completely done. She changed out of her stained uniform, pulled on her street clothes, and slipped out the back entrance of the hotel. The Seoul night air was cold against her face. She walked to the subway, her mind numb, her phone still buzzing with notifications she couldn't bear to read. She rode the train to her tiny Gazawan in Sinchon. Student housing, barely bigger than a closet, but it was all she could afford. She climbed the narrow stairs, unlocked her door, and collapsed on the thin mattress. Tomorrow, immigration would probably come for her. She'd be deported, banned from returning. Her brother would die without the treatment. Her dream of becoming a fashion designer would die with her. All because she couldn't swallow her pride for one more night. She buried her face in her pillow and finally let herself cry. She didn't hear the black sedan that parked outside her building. Didn't see the tall figure in the expensive suit who looked up at her window. Didn't know that Kang Jae-won had spent the last 3 hours tracking her down, calling in favors, accessing databases he shouldn't have access to. He stood on the street, looking at the rundown building, and made a decision that would change everything. The next morning, Chi woke to pounding on her door. She jerked upright, her heart racing. Immigration. It had to be immigration. She opened the door a crack, keeping the chain lock engaged. Kang Jae-won stood in her hallway, looking completely out of place in his tailored black suit and expensive watch. 2 large men in dark suits stood behind him. Bodyguards. Chi's mouth went dry. What do you want? To talk. May I come in? No. A small smile. Smart. Then we'll talk here. I have a proposition for you, Miss Okonkwo. How do you know my name? I know everything about you. Chidera Okonkwo, 26 years old, from Enugu, Nigeria. Fashion design degree from University of Nigeria. Came to Seoul 3 years ago on a student exchange program that ended 20 months ago.
Visa expedient.
Working illegally. Brother Chukwemeka, 19, has sickle cell anemia, currently in hospital in Enugu needing expensive treatment you can't afford. He paused. Have I missed anything? Chi's hands clenched into fists. What do you want? Marry me. She blinked. What? Contract marriage. 1 year. You get 500 million won visa sponsorship, and I'll use my connections to help launch your fashion career. In exchange, you pretend to be my wife. Public appearances, family events, living together. Completely professional. You're insane. Probably. But I'm also your only option. Immigration has a warrant for your deportation. They'll execute it within 48 hours. Your brother needs treatment you can't afford. And I need a wife who isn't Yoon Seo-yeon. His eyes were dark, unreadable. So what do you say, Miss Okonkwo? Do we have a deal? She stared at him. This man was Kang Jae-won. She'd heard the whispers. The scholar, they called him, because he had a PhD in economics and ran legitimate tech companies. But everyone knew the truth. His family controlled one of the 3 most powerful crime syndicates in Seoul, the Biko clan. People who crossed them disappeared. And he was asking her to marry him. Why me? Chi's voice was barely a whisper. Because you're the only person brave enough or stupid enough to slap Yoon Seo-yeon. That's exactly the kind of person I need. This is crazy. Yes, but you're running out of time. And options. He pulled out a business card, slid it under her door. You have 24 hours to decide. Call me. He turned and walked away, his bodyguards following. She stood frozen in her doorway, the business card on her floor, her entire world tilting on its axis. Her phone rang. The hospital in Enugu. Miss Okonkwo? This is Dr. Adeyemi. I'm calling about your brother. The treatment window is closing. If we don't begin within the week, I'm afraid the disease progression will make him ineligible. We need your decision and the payment as soon as possible. She looked at the business card on her floor. 24 hours to decide. But really, there was no decision to make at all. She sat across from Kang Jae-won in his lawyer's office, a stack of papers between them. The contract was 15 pages long. She'd read every word twice. 200 million won up front, she said, her finger on the clause. For my brother's medical treatment. Agreed. Jae-won signed without hesitation. You help me establish my fashion line. Real help. Connections, introductions, funding if needed. Done. No physical intimacy. Separate bedrooms. Professional boundaries at all times. Jae-won's pen paused for just a moment. Of course. And I keep my dignity. I won't be paraded around like a trophy. I won't smile and nod while people are racist to me. I won't pretend to be someone I'm not. I wouldn't ask you to. Jaiwon looked at her directly. I saw what you did to Seoyeon. I know exactly who you are. That's why you're here. Chi picked up the pen. Her hand trembled slightly. 1 year. She could survive 1 year of pretending to be married to a criminal. For Chukwamika. For her dreams. She signed. Jaiwon's lawyer notarized the documents. Money was transferred. She watched her phone as the hospital in Enugu confirmed receipt of 200 million won. Dr. Adeyemi called 30 seconds later, his voice excited. Miss Okonkwo, we received the payment. We can begin treatment immediately. Your brother is going to be okay. She closed her eyes, tears burning behind her eyelids. Thank you. Thank you so much. When she hung up, Jaiwon was watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Thank you, she said quietly. Don't thank me. We have a deal. I expect you to honor your part. I will. Good. My driver will take you to collect your belongings. You'll move into my penthouse today. We have a family dinner tomorrow night. You'll need appropriate clothing. I've arranged for a stylist. Kaya spine straightened. I don't need a stylist. I'm a fashion designer. Then design something that will make my grandmother approve of you. She's the real power in the Biko clan, not me. If she doesn't like you, this arrangement ends. I thought we had a contract. We do. But my grandmother doesn't care about contracts. She cares about strength, intelligence, and whether you can hold your own in a room full of people who would happily destroy you. Jaiwon stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Welcome to the family, Mrs. Kong. Jaiwon's penthouse occupied the top 2 floors of a building in Hanamdong, one of Seoul's most exclusive neighborhoods. She stepped out of the private elevator and stopped, stunned despite herself. The apartment was massive, decorated in minimalist style with dark wood and clean lines. Large windows showed the Seoul skyline, the Han River glittering in the distance. Everything was expensive, understated, perfect. Your room is on the east side, Jaiwon said, barely looking at her as he checked his phone. Mine is west. We share the main living areas. My housekeeper comes 3 times a week. Security is monitoring all entrances. Don't try to leave without informing them first. Am I a prisoner? You're my wife. There are people who would love to hurt me by hurting you. The security is for your protection. How reassuring. Jaiwon finally looked at her, something flickering in his dark eyes. You're safe here, Chitra. I don't break my promises. He left her standing in the massive living room, disappearing down the west hallway. She heard a door close. She was alone. She found her bedroom. It was bigger than her entire Gazawon had been. The bed was huge, the attached bathroom had a separate shower and tub, and the closet was the size of a small apartment. Her pitiful bag of belongings looked ridiculous in the corner. She sat on the bed and pulled out her phone. The video of the slap had over 10 million views now. Her Instagram had exploded from 200 followers to 3 million. Messages flooded her DMs, some supportive, many hateful, all overwhelming. She ignored them and called Chukwamika. Ki. The doctors just left. They're starting treatment tomorrow. They say the new medication has an 80% success rate. Her brother's voice was stronger than she'd heard it in months. How did you get the money? What happened? I got a job. A really good job. Don't worry about it. Gee, I saw the video. Everyone's saying you're dating that Mafia boss. Tell me that's not true. She looked around the enormous bedroom. It's complicated. Ki. I have to go. I love you. Focus on getting better. She hung up before he could ask more questions she couldn't answer. That night, she couldn't sleep. She wandered out to the kitchen around 2 in the morning, looking for water. She found Jaiwon already there, sitting at the kitchen island with a glass of whiskey, his long hair loose around his shoulders. Can't sleep? He asked without looking up. Jet lag. From a different life. She opened the refrigerator, found water. You? I don't sleep much. They stood in silence. She noticed he'd taken off his suit jacket, loosened his tie. The tattoo on his neck extended down. She could see the edge of it disappearing under his collar. A dragon, maybe. Something powerful. Why do you really want to marry me? She asked suddenly. The real reason. Jaiwon was quiet for a long moment. Yoon Seoin's father is prosecutor Yoon Dae-hoon. Very powerful, very connected. Our families arranged our engagement to create an alliance. But I recently discovered something. Someone has been leaking information about my business operations to the police. I think it's her. And marrying me helps how? It gives me time to investigate while appearing to have moved on. It also sends a message that I can't be controlled. He finally looked at her. And it irritates people I want to irritate. So I'm a political move. Aren't we all? Jaiwon raised his glass. To mutually beneficial arrangements. She didn't raise hers. What happens when the year is over? We divorce. Quietly. You get to keep everything. The money, the connections, the career I help you build. You go back to your life. I go back to mine. That simple? That's simple. But the way he said it, looking at her in the dim kitchen light, made she think it wouldn't be simple at all. The next evening, she stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the dress she designed and sewn in a frantic 12 hours. It was a fusion piece, traditional Korean hanbok lines mixed with Nigerian Ankara print fabric in deep blue and gold. The result was striking, elegant, and completely her own. She'd styled her natural hair in an elegant updo, kept her makeup minimal. When she walked out to the living room, Jaiwon stopped mid-conversation on his phone. You made that? He asked when he hung up. Yes. You said impress your grandmother. I don't impress people by pretending to be someone else. Something shifted in his expression. No, you really don't. The Biko clan estate was in the hills outside Seoul, a traditional Korean compound that had been in the Kong family for generations. Armed guards checked them at the gate. Chi's nerves ramped up with every meter they drove. Relax, Jaiwon said quietly. Grandmother will either love you or hate you in the first 30 seconds. Nothing you do after that will change her mind. That's not helpful. I'm not trying to be helpful. I'm trying to be honest. Grandmother Kong was 75 years old, barely 5 feet tall, and the most intimidating person she had ever met. She sat in the main room wearing a traditional hanbok, her silver hair in a perfect bun, her eyes sharp as knives. So you're the girl who slapped Yoon Seoyeon, grandmother said in Korean. Chi understood enough to respond, also in Korean. Yes, grandmother. Why? Because she disrespected me. And I won't accept disrespect from anyone, regardless of their family name or bank account. The room went silent. Jaiwon's father, his uncles, his cousins, all stared. No one spoke to Grandmother Kong like that. Grandmother's face remained expressionless for 3 long seconds. Then she laughed. A real, genuine laugh. I like this one, Jaiwon. She has steel in her spine. Grandmother gestured to the seat beside her. Sit, child. Tell me about this dress. I've never seen anything like it. Chi sat, her heart still racing. It's a fusion design. Korean structure with Nigerian fabric and patterns. I want to create a line that bridges cultures, that celebrates both identities. And what do you call this line? Oma. It means beautiful in Igbo. My language. Grandmother touched the fabric carefully. It is beautiful. You have talent. Real talent, not the pretend kind that rich children buy with their parents' money. She looked at Jaiwon. This one is interesting. Don't bore her to death. Throughout dinner, Chi felt eyes on her. Jaiwon's father was cold, calculating. His uncles were suspicious. But his younger sister caught her attention. The girl sat at the end of the table, barely eating, not speaking. She was about 16, beautiful, but something was different. She communicated with hand gestures to a woman beside her, never making eye contact with anyone. That's Minji, Jaiwon said quietly. My sister. She has autism. The family doesn't talk about her much. Why not? Because they see it as a weakness. An imperfection in the bloodline. His jaw tightened. If anything happened to me, they'd institutionalize her. Probably worse. She looked at him with new understanding. That's why you stay. Why you do this. For her. Among other reasons. After dinner, Grandmother pulled Chi aside. They walked in the garden, away from listening ears. I'm dying, Grandmother said casually, as if discussing the weather. Liver cancer. 6 months, maybe less. Before I go, I want to see Jaiwon happy. Truly happy. Can you do that? Chi stopped walking. Grandmother, this is just a contract. It's not real, isn't it? Then why did he learn your language? Why did he spend 3 hours tracking you down the night of the gala? Why does he smile when he says your name? Grandmother's eyes were knowing. My grandson has spent his entire life in a cage. You're the first person who's made him want to open the door. Don't waste that. Before Chi could respond, shouting erupted from the house. They rushed back to find Jaiwon and his father in a heated argument in Korean. Chi caught fragments. Disgrace. Responsibility, the family name. Jaiwon's father pointed at Chi. You bring this woman into our home? This foreigner? You embarrass Seoul publicly? You damage our alliance with the Yoon family? The alliance was already damaged, Jaiwon said coldly. And I'll marry who I choose. You'll marry who I tell you to marry. I'm 29 years old. I run half your operations. I built this family's legitimate businesses from nothing. I've earned the right to make my own choices. His father's hand rose. For a moment, Chi thought he might actually strike Jaiwon. Then grandmother's voice cut through like a blade. Enough. Everyone froze. Jaiwon has chosen his wife. The decision is made. Anyone who disagrees can take it up with me. Grandmother's smile was sweet and absolutely terrifying. Any volunteers? Silence. I thought not. Now, everyone sit down. We have cake. In the car ride home, Jaiwon was silent. She watched the Seoul lights pass by the window. Thank you, Jaiwon said finally. For not running. I signed a contract. Many people would have run anyway. She looked at him. In the dim light, he looked younger. Tired. Almost vulnerable. Your grandmother told me you learned Igbo, she said. Jaiwon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Seemed useful. You learned an entire language in 3 weeks because you thought it might be useful? I'm a quick study. That's not an answer. He glanced at her, something raw in his expression. I wanted to understand you. Is that so strange? Yes. Because I'm supposed to be just a contract to you. You are. Then why do you look at me like I'm not? Jaiwon didn't answer. He focused on driving, his jaw tight, and Chi let the silence settle between them like a living thing. This arrangement was supposed to be simple. Professional. Temporary. But she was beginning to realize that nothing about Kong Jaiwon was simple. And she was in far deeper than she'd ever intended to be. 3 weeks into the arrangement, Chi stood in the penthouse kitchen at 6 in the morning, preparing moi moi. She'd blended the beans the night before, mixed in peppers, onions, spices. Now she poured the mixture into small aluminum cups, preparing to steam them. The aroma of blended beans and spices filled the apartment, warm and familiar. It smelled like home. Like a nugu. Like her mother's kitchen before she died. What is that smell? She turned to find Jaiwon in the kitchen doorway, hair messy from sleep, wearing only pajama pants and a t-shirt. It was the most casual she'd ever seen him. Momo. Nigerian steamed bean pudding. I was craving home. He moved closer, watching her arrange the cups in the steamer. I've never heard of it. Most people haven't. It's comfort food. Not fancy, just good. She glanced at him. Want some? It'll be ready in 30 minutes. I don't usually eat breakfast. That's not what I asked. A small smile. Then yes. I'd like to try it. They sat together 30 minutes later, the moi moi steaming in small bowls. Jaiwon took a careful bite, his expression thoughtful. It's good. Savory. The texture is interesting. My mother used to make it every Sunday. She'd add fish sometimes or eggs. This is the basic version. She took a bite, memories flooding back. She died when I was 19. Cancer. My father died when I was 10. So it was just me and Chukwamika. I'm sorry. Don't be. She had a good life. She was happy. She looked at him. What about your mother? Dead also. 10 years ago. Car accident. Though everyone knows my father's enemies arranged it. Jaiwon's voice was flat, emotionless. That's the life. People die. You move on. Do you? Move on. He was quiet for a long moment. No. You just get better at pretending. She felt something shift between them. Some barrier cracking. Ona auto yudo, Jaiwon said suddenly. Chi's spoon clattered against her bowl. What did you just say? It's delicious. In Igbo. Is my pronunciation wrong? No, it's perfect, You really did learn Igbo. I told you I did. But why? I mean really why? You have translators, you have people who. Because, Jaiwon interrupted, looking directly at her, I wanted to understand the language you dream in. I wanted to know the words your mother spoke to you. I wanted. He stopped, seeming to realize he'd said too much. It seemed respectful, given our arrangement. But the way he looked at her had nothing to do with arrangements or contracts. Chi's phone buzzed, breaking the moment. A message from her new assistant. Seoul Fashion Week had accepted her application. They wanted her to show a collection in 6 weeks. Oh my god, she whispered. They accepted me. Seoul Fashion Week. 6 weeks. Jaiwon leaned over to read the message. That's good news. Good news? It's impossible. I need at least 20 pieces, models, venue, marketing. I need cheese breathing quickened. I can't do this in 6 weeks. Yes, you can. Jaiwon took her phone, typed something. I just connected you with Kim Sora, best fashion PR in Seoul. And Lee Miho, he manages the top models. They'll help you. Jaiwon, I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. That's what partners do. He stood, carried his bowl to the sink. Besides, I have a reputation to maintain. Can't have my wife failing publicly. But he smiled when he said it, and she felt her heart do something complicated in her chest. The next 6 weeks were a blur. She designed until her fingers ached, sewed until her eyes blurred. Jaiwon's connections opened doors, but Chi's talent kept them open. Her fusion designs, Korean silhouettes with Nigerian prints, traditional Ankara fabric in modern cuts, caught attention immediately. Korean Vogue did a feature. Her Instagram followers hit 5 million. Celebrities started requesting custom pieces. You're a phenomenon, Sora told her over coffee. People love the cultural fusion angle. And honestly, having Kang Jaiwon as your husband doesn't hurt. The power couple narrative is gold. Chi shifted uncomfortably. It's not about him. It's about the work. Of course. But the story matters too. The waitress who slapped her way to the top. The Mafia boss who fell for her. It's romantic. Except it wasn't romantic. It was a contract. Professional. Temporary. So why did Chi's stomach twist every time Jaiwon came home late, smelling like perfume that wasn't hers? Why did she care when he took phone calls in the other room, his voice low and secretive? The fashion show was in Busan, part of a regional expansion of Seoul Fashion Week. Jaiwon had business there anyway, some clan matter Chi didn't ask about. They drove down together, the tension between them thick and unspoken. Nervous? Jaiwon asked as they passed through the countryside. Terrified. What if everyone hates it? What if I'm not ready? You're ready. I've seen the collection. It's extraordinary. You've seen it? You think I don't pay attention? Jaiwon glanced at her. The blue piece with the gold threading. The way you incorporated traditional Korean embroidery with Nigerian attire techniques. It's brilliant. She stared at him. You know about attire techniques? I researched. After I saw your sketches. Why do you do things like this? Like what? Act like you care when this is supposed to be just business. Jaiwon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Maybe I'm a better actor than you thought. But his voice said otherwise. They checked into the hotel in Busan. The clerk apologized profusely. Mr. Kong, I'm so sorry. We only have the honeymoon suite available. There was a booking error. One bed. I can arrange a different hotel if. It's fine, Jaiwon said curtly. We'll make it work. In the suite, they stared at the single massive bed. I'll take the couch, Jaiwon said immediately. Don't be ridiculous. You're too tall. You'll be miserable. Key. We're adults. We can share a bed without it being weird. I'll build a pillow wall if it makes you feel better. So she did. A fortress of pillows down the center of the bed. They climbed in from opposite sides, careful not to touch, both staring at the ceiling. Good night, Chi said. Good night. At 3 a.m, Chi woke up screaming. The nightmare was vivid, visceral. Chakwamika in a hospital bed, dying, reaching for her. Blood everywhere. Her mother's voice. You couldn't save him. You failed. Strong arms pulled her close. Jiwonese voice. Urgent. Ki. Ki. Breathe. You're safe. I've got you. She was sobbing, gasping, clinging to him. I dreamed he died. My brother. I couldn't save him. I tried but I couldn't. He's not going to die. The treatment is working. Dr. Adeyemi sent an update yesterday. Chakwamika's blood counts are improving. He's getting better. You've been talking to his doctor? I'm paying for the treatment. Of course I'm monitoring it. Jaiwon stroked her hair, his touch gentle. No roju. Hekfa. Calm down. You are safe. Chi pulled back enough to see his face in the darkness. You're speaking Igbo to comfort me. Is it working? Yes. She realized she was still in his arms, her face pressed against his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath her ear. I should move back to my side. Do you want to? No. Then don't. They lay there in the darkness, the pillow wall demolished, fitting together like they'd done this 1,000 times before. She felt safe in a way she hadn't since her mother died. And that terrified her more than any nightmare. Jiwon? What are we doing? I don't know. His arms tightened around her. But I don't want to stop. The contract. Fuck the contract. He kissed her. Soft at first, questioning. She kissed him back, answering. The kiss deepened, became urgent, desperate. All the tension of the past 6 weeks, all the pretending, all the denial, broke like a dam. They made love slowly, carefully, learning each other in the darkness. When it was over, they lay tangled together, breathing hard. That was a mistake, she whispered. Probably the best mistake I've ever made, Jiwon said against her neck. In the morning, reality crashed back. They woke up naked, sunlight streaming through the windows. She sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. We should talk about this, she said. I know. This doesn't change the contract. We still have 6 months left. After that, we still end things. Right. Of course. Jiwon's voice was carefully neutral. We were drinking last night. At the show. We were both stressed and we can pretend it didn't happen. Yes. That's probably best. But when Jiwon looked at her, his eyes said he didn't want to pretend at all. The fashion show was a massive success. Chi's collection received a standing ovation. Orders flooded in. Korean Vogue wanted her on the cover. Her brand, Oma, was officially launched. At the after-party, she had 1 glass of champagne, then another. Jiwon matched her, both of them celebrating, both of them trying to forget what had happened that morning. You did it, Jiwon said, his voice warm with pride. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. We did it. I couldn't have done this without you. Yes, you could have. Just would have taken longer. He touched her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. You're extraordinary. Chi, don't ever let anyone make you feel less than that. The champagne made her brave. Or maybe it was the way he looked at her. She kissed him in the middle of the party, cameras flashing around them. Later, in the hotel room, there was no pretending it was a mistake. They made love again, sober this time, intentional. Chi memorized the feel of his skin, the sound of his breathing, the way he whispered her name in Igbo. In the aftermath, lying in his arms, she knew she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. I'm falling for you, she whispered, thinking he was asleep. I know, he whispered back. I fell for you the night you slapped her. I've just been trying to pretend I didn't. What do we do? I don't know. But we'll figure it out. Together. But 6 weeks later, she stood in a convenience store bathroom, staring at a pregnancy test, and realized that together was about to get a lot more complicated. The test was positive. Unmistakably, undeniably positive. She took 3 more. All positive. She slid down the bathroom wall, her hands shaking. She was pregnant. With Jiwon's child. With 4 months left on their contract. 4 months until they were supposed to divorce and go their separate ways. She had to tell him. She would tell him. Soon. But first, she needed to figure out what she wanted. What this meant. How to handle. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Breaking, Yoon Seoin announces pregnancy, claims Kang Jiwon is the father. Chi's blood turned to ice. She clicked the article. There was a video. Seoin at a press conference, tears streaming down her face, one hand on her still flat stomach. Jiwon and I were together before this contract marriage, Seoin said to the cameras. What we had was real. And now I'm carrying his child. He has a responsibility to this baby. To our family. The reporters erupted with questions. Seoin fielded them with perfect, practiced grace. Chi watched the video 3 times, each viewing making her feel sicker. Was it true? Had Jiwon been sleeping with Seoin while married to her? While whispering that he was falling for her? Was everything a lie? Chi stumbled out of the convenience store, got on the subway, rode it home in a daze. When she walked into the penthouse, Jiwon was there, pacing, his phone pressed to his ear. He saw her and hung up immediately. Chi, I've been trying to call you. Did you see? Is it true? Her voice was flat. Is she pregnant with your baby? I don't know. Maybe. We were together once, months before I met you. It was a mistake, family pressure, it meant nothing. Nothing? She's pregnant. The timeline doesn't add up. If she's really pregnant, I don't think it's mine. But I can't prove that until. Until what? Until the baby is born? Until you do a paternity test? Chi's voice rose. Were you going to tell me? Or were you just going to let me find out on the news? I just found out myself. Chi, please, you have to believe me. Whatever I had with her is over. What I have with you is… What? What do we have, Jaiwon? A contract? Because that's all this was supposed to be. You know, it's more than that now. Doi. Because right now, I don't know what's real anymore. Chi's hands were shaking. She pressed them against her stomach, where her own secret was growing. I can't do this. I can't be part of this drama. I can't. Chi, please. We have 4 months left on the contract. Let's just finish it. Professionally. Like we agreed. She turned toward her room. I'm going to bed. In my room. Don't follow me. She locked the door before he could respond, slid down it, and finally let herself cry. She was pregnant with the child of a man who might be having a child with someone else. A man she'd fallen in love with despite every promise she'd made to herself. A man she didn't know if she could trust. And she had absolutely no idea what to do next. For 3 days, Chi avoided Jaiwon. She left early for her studio, came home late, ate in her room. He tried to talk to her, but she couldn't face him. Not yet. Not while she was still trying to process everything. Not while her own secret sat heavy in her stomach. On the 4th day, she woke up nauseous. Morning sickness. She barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up. When she emerged, pale and shaking, Jaiwon was standing in the hallway. You're sick. I'm calling a doctor. I'm fine. Just stress. Chi, you look terrible. Please let me. I said I'm fine. She pushed past him, grabbed her bag. I have meetings all day. I'll be home late. But she wasn't fine. At her studio, she threw up twice more. Her assistant, concerned, suggested she go home. She refused. She had work to do. Designs to finalize. A business to run. She couldn't fall apart now. Her phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Jaiwon she didn't read. News alerts about Seoyeon's pregnancy that she couldn't avoid. The media was having a field day. Love triangle. Mafia boss torn between 2 women. Seoyeon's baby scandal. What does this mean for the Kong marriage? Sources say Kong Jaiwon planning divorce. That last one made Chi's stomach drop. She clicked it. Anonymous sources claim Jaiwon was planning to divorce Chi and do the right thing by marrying Seoyeon to legitimize his child. Chi closed her laptop before she threw it across the room. That evening, she returned to the penthouse to find Jaiwon waiting in the living room. He looked terrible. Hadn't shaved. His hair was a mess. His eyes were hollow. We need to talk, he said. I don't want to talk. Too bad. Because I've been investigating and I found something. Seoyeon is lying. She stopped. What? She is pregnant. But it's not mine. Jaiwon pulled out his phone, showed her security camera footage. This is from the Grand Hyatt, 4 months ago. That's Seoyeon. And that's my cousin Minho. The footage showed Seoyeon and a young man entering a hotel room together. The timestamp was clear. Security footage can be faked, she said, but her voice wavered. I also have text messages. Minho is an idiot who doesn't delete anything. Jaiwon scrolled through screenshots. Messages between Seoyeon and Minho discussing their affair. Planning to frame Jaiwon. Using the pregnancy to destroy his marriage and take over the clan. She read them, her mind reeling. Why? Why would she do this? Power. Money. Her father, Prosecutor Yoon, has been building a case against me for years. If I'm discredited, distracted by a scandal, he can move against the clan. Minho wants to take over my position. They're working together. This is insane. This is my life. Jaiwon's voice was bitter. Welcome to it. Chi sank onto the couch, the evidence overwhelming. So the baby isn't yours? No. And I can prove it, but not until the baby is born. DNA testing requires. I know what it requires. Chi's hands went to her own stomach, unconsciously protective. What are you going to do? Expose them. But I need time. I need to gather more evidence, build an airtight case. In the meantime, he looked at her desperate. Please believe me. I haven't touched Seoyeon since before I met you. I wouldn't. Not when he stopped himself. Not when you what? Not when I'm in love with you. The words hung in the air between them. Chi's breath caught. You can't mean that. Why not? Because this is a contract. Because in 4 months we're supposed to divorce and walk away. Because you're Kong Jaiwon and I'm just what? A waitress who slapped fear in the face? A designer whose work is in Korean Vogue? The woman who made me want to be someone different, someone better? Jaiwon crossed to her, knelt in front of the couch. You're not just anything, Chi, or everything. Chi's eyes filled with tears. I'm pregnant. The words fell out before she could stop them. Jaiwan froze. What? I'm pregnant. About 8 weeks. It's yours. From Busan. Chi's voice shook. I found out the same day Seoyeon made her announcement. I was going to tell you, but then everything exploded and I didn't know if I could trust you, and I'm so scared, Jaiwan, I'm so scared. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. I've got you. Whatever happens, I've got you. What are we going to do? We're going to figure it out. Together. Like we always do. But before they could say more, the penthouse door exploded inward. Not literally, but close. Police flooded in, weapons drawn, shouting commands in Korean. Kong Jaiwan, you're under arrest for money laundering, racketeering, and organized crime. Prosecutor Yoon walked in behind them, a triumphant smile on his face. We've been watching you for months. We have all the evidence we need. Jaiwan stood slowly, his hands raised. On whose authority? Mine. And your wife's. Prosecutor Yoon pulled out a folder, threw photos on the table. Photos of Chi meeting with him. Photos of her passing documents. Transcripts of conversations. Your dear wife has been quite helpful, providing information about your business dealings, your meetings, your associates. All in exchange for keeping her visa valid and her brother's medical payments flowing. Chi's blood turned to ice. What? No. I never. But then she remembered. 6 weeks ago, a man had approached her outside her studio. Said he was from immigration. Said if she didn't provide harmless information about Jaiwan's schedule, they'd deport her and stop Chukwumika's treatment. She'd given him Jaiwan's calendar. Meeting locations. Dinner appointments. Nothing important, she'd thought. Just schedules. Oh my God, she whispered. They used me. They twisted everything I said. Very convenient story. Prosecutor Yoon sneered. Mr. Kong, you have the right to remain silent. They handcuffed Jaiwan. He looked at Chi, his eyes full of pain and something else. Forgiveness. It's okay, he said quietly. I know you didn't mean to. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. They dragged him away, and Chi stood in the destroyed penthouse, her world collapsing around her, her hand on her stomach where a baby was growing, and she had never felt more alone. That night, she couldn't stay in the penthouse. The walls felt like they were closing in. She went to the only person she could think of. Grandmother Kong. The old woman opened the door herself, took one look at Chi's face, and pulled her inside. Tell me everything. So Chi did. The blackmail. The information. The pregnancy. The arrest. Everything. When she finished, grandmother was quiet for a long moment. Do you love my grandson? Yes. And he loves you? He says he does. Kong Jaiwan has never said those words to anyone. If he said them to you, he meant them. Grandmother took Chi's hands. So now you have a choice. You can run. Go back to Nigeria, raise the baby alone, live a quiet life. Or you can fight. Fight for him. Fight for your family. Fight for the life you want. Which will it be? Chi thought of Jaiwan in a cell. Thought of Seoyeon and Minho and Prosecutor Yoon winning. Thought of her child growing up without a father, without knowing the truth. She thought of the slap that started everything. The moment she decided to stop being invisible. I'm going to fight. Grandmother smiled. Good. Then let's go to war. The next week was a blur. Chi, grandmother, and Minji worked around the clock. Minji, brilliant with computers despite her autism, hacked into Prosecutor Yoon's email server. What they found was damning. Emails between Yoon, Seoyeon, and Minho planning the entire conspiracy. Plans to frame Jaiwan. Evidence that the information she provided had been deliberately misrepresented. And most importantly, deleted voicemails between Seoyeon and Minho discussing their baby and how to use it to destroy Jaiwan. Chi recorded a confession video, posted it to her Instagram. 5 million followers saw it instantly. My name is Chidera Okonkwo. I was blackmailed into providing information used to frame my husband. I was wrong to trust them, but I'm going to make it right. The video went viral. 10 million views in 6 hours. Public opinion shifted. Hashtag Free Jaiwan trended worldwide. An emergency hearing was scheduled. Chi walked into that courtroom 8 months pregnant, her stomach round and unmistakable. Jaiwan was brought in from custody. When he saw her pregnancy, his eyes widened with shock and something deeper. Love. Prida. Fear. Chi took the stand. I was blackmailed by Prosecutor Yoon, she testified. He threatened my brother's life, my visa status, everything I had. I gave him what I thought was harmless information. Dinner schedules. Meeting locations. I didn't know he would twist it into evidence of crimes. She presented everything. The emails. The voicemails. The hotel footage. Seoin's medical records showing she was exactly as far along as her affair with Minho had started. The courtroom erupted. Prosecutor Yoon tried to object, but the judge silenced him. You are hereby relieved of all duties pending investigation. Court security. Take him into custody. Seoin screamed as she and Minho were arrested. The judge dismissed all charges against Jaewon. He walked toward Chi as cameras flashed. She was crying, her hands on her swollen belly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I trusted them. I'm sorry. Stop. Jaewon pulled her close, careful of her stomach. You survived. You fought back. I'm not going to punish you for being human when I've done so much worse. He knelt in front of her, in front of all the cameras, his hand on her stomach. Marry me. For real this time. Not a contract. Not an arrangement. Marry me because I love you. Because I want to raise this child together. Because I want forever. We're already married, she said through tears. That was a contract. This is a promise. He looked up at her. So what do you say? Will you be my wife? Really, truly mine? Yes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He kissed her as the courtroom applauded, as cameras flashed, as their future began. 2 months later, Chi went into labor 3 weeks early. Jaewon nearly crashed the car getting her to the hospital. He held her hand through every contraction, whispered encouragement in Igbo, was there when the doctor said it's twins, a boy and a girl. Jaewon cried when he held them. The fearless Mafia heir, crying openly as he looked at his children. They're perfect, he whispered. You're perfect. 1 year later, she stood at another gala. The same hotel where everything started. But this time, she wore her own design, her twins with grandmother backstage, her fashion empire spanning 3 continents. Someone accidentally spilled champagne near her. She looked at Jaewon. Should I slap them? He laughed. Only if they deserve it. That's my husband. Always encouraging violence. They danced as cameras flashed, capturing the couple that had changed Seoul forever. The woman who slapped her way to the top. The Mafia boss who learned to love. A news alert popped on someone's phone. From viral slap to fashion empire, the Chitara story inspires millions. She saw it and smiled. She'd come to Seoul with nothing but dreams and desperation. She'd been humiliated, fired, threatened with deportation. She'd slapped a woman and changed her entire life. And she wouldn't change a single thing. Well, maybe one thing. She'd have slapped Seoin harder. Jaewon pulled her closer as the music played. What are you thinking about? How a single moment can change everything. How one choice can lead to a whole different life. Any regrets? She looked at her husband, thought of her children, her empire, her family. Not even one. Good. Because I'm never letting you go. Promise? Promise. And as they danced under the lights of the Lotus Grand, in the same ballroom where a slap had echoed and a love story had begun, Chi knew that some promises were meant to be kept forever. If you loved this story of courage, love, and redemption, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling us your favorite moment. Was it the slap? The moi scene? The courtroom victory? Let us know, and don't forget to like this video to help others find Chi and Jaewon's incredible journey. More amazing stories coming soon.